Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Open Court. Today, I'm joined with the three degenerates, Yousuf, Isaiah, and
Naoki-san.
Naoki.
Hey-o.
Discussion. Anyway, today we're gonna talk about. Today we're gonna break down our top 10 most important moments in NBA history. Now, these could be off court, these could be on court, it could be anything, right? So we each pick two things, and then we will do the last two and figure out what else that we probably missed, and then we'll rank them from 1 through 10. But I would like to actually open this with one quick stat.
Okay.
Because this is fucking crazy.
Is that a Detroit stat?
Nope. The 76ers played the Denver Nuggets today. Joel Embiid is out. The last time Joel Embiid played in Denver, Tom Brady was a New England Patriot quarterback.
No fucking way.
Todd Gurley was on the Rams. Bradley Beal was averaging 30 points a game that season. And Tiger King and The Last Dance weren't out yet. And this is the craziest thing. The United Kingdom was still part of the European Union.
Wow.
Does anybody have one that they want to bring up?
I'll bring one up.
Okay.
There's two that are involved that I thought of in the Toronto 2019 NBA title run.
Okay.
But this one I'll bring it up. And it's not the one in the finals. It's actually the Eastern Conference Finals.
This changed NBA history, by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
Recent NBA history, I'll say.
It could be NBA. It could be NBA history. It could be whatever. If you think it's important,
Kawhi Leonard's game winner in Game 7 against the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay.
Kawhi up top, looks at the clock, turns the corner for the win. Got it! Kawhi Leonard!
First and foremost, let me establish this. I've been saying this for years, ever since it happened. He fucking traveled, okay?
He did.
He traveled hard.
We did a
as
whole
shit,
ripple effect video on that,
right?
by the way.
He caught the ball and ran 3 steps before he fucking dribbled the ball. Right? So let's get that out of the way first. Anyway, point is, Kawhi Leonard doesn't make that shot.
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking, Sixers and Raptors go to overtime. Hypothetically speaking, the Sixers had the momentum going into that shot. Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons.
The Bucks beat them.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Well, you don't know that they win that.
But you don't. But this is like where it changes things, because
Of course.
at this point in time, we're looking at Joel Embiid as if he's like some bum. He sucks. He doesn't know how to perform in the playoffs, and to an extent, that's true. But
Very true.
But if he makes that with a huge chance of if Kawhi misses that shot,
Did you watch our ripple effect video on this?
I didn't.
I think you said that the Golden State Warriors would win the ring that year.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, they probably. I think.
If they played like the Bucks or the 76ers that
I
year.
think.
Or
I think the Warriors win that ring if Klay Thompson doesn't get hurt.
Another thing that I think we're also
Or
not.
KD doesn't get hurt in game.
We
If KD doesn't get hurt, they definitely win.
We kind of discussed this as well. I think we're also undermining that Giannis could have won a ring far earlier than he did.
Yeah.
You know, so that's another thing.
Sure.
That is probably one of the greatest shots in NBA history, regardless
I
of if
think
you
that
travel.
definitely would have changed NBA history.
That Perry,
If Tobias Harris was
that
an
Perry,
NBA champion.
that Perry Park bounce. Don't ever say that again. Don't ever say that again.
No, that's
true.
what he was saying.
Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons as an NBA champion. Could you think of that shit?
Hey, LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron. Ben Simmons is here.
All right, bro.
Yeah.
We got this.
So there's that one, and then obviously I think KD tearing his Achilles.
To cheer for a player who gets injured.
Achilles.
Yeah.
Game 5.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the Warriors won that game.
Well, which one's bigger in your opinion that year?
Um,
Which one do you think
No,
had
just
more
start.
impact?
Just start with one.
I think Kevin Durant's definitely the bigger one because
Okay.
the Warriors probably win.
So scratch the Kawhi game winner.
The Warriors three-peat.
Yeah.
The
Not
Warriors
hap-
would three-peat right there.
Okay.
And Lord knows if KD leaves or not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Draymond was inevitable in that situation, but
I mean, look,
that's a fair point.
that Clippers game earlier in that year, I think we saw KD saying like, "This is why I'm out." Yada yada yada.
That
You never
season, I feel like that group was over before All-Star break.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
but winning changes a lot of things. If he wins a ring, and he three-peats, and he probably gets Finals MVP again.
Right.
There's a conversation there to be had about whether or not he actually does leave.
And
then you see maybe the Warriors end up saying, you know what, KD's more valuable to us than Draymond. Get the fuck out of here, Dray.
Or just to throw this out there, KD goes anyway. He gets traded to Brooklyn for D'Angelo Russell, which then subsequently D'Lo gets traded for Andrew Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't go to that finals run in 22, and Seth doesn't have a finals MVP to his name.
And the Celtics have 2 rings in the last 3 years.
So
That's so depressing. To
I'm
think about.
going to go a bit further back with my submission.
Okay.
very far back, the coin toss of the first overall pick in 1984, where the Rockets win the number 1 overall pick, draft Hakeem Olajuwon. The Portland Trailblazers mess up horrendously and draft Sam Bowie, number 2, to where then subsequently Michael Jordan goes 3rd to the Chicago Bulls.
Mm-hmm. Portland calls tails. Here goes the flip. Heads it is.
Jordan going to Houston at 2nd. So I say this because had the Trailblazers gotten the number 1 overall pick, I think arguably they draft either Hakeem or Sam Bowie 1st. Then Jordan could go to Houston 2nd, and then either one of Bowie or Hakeem goes to Chicago with the 3rd pick. But
which scenario?
I would like to see the scenario of Jordan going to Houston at 2nd. You know what I mean? Like in that scenario, or Hakeem going to Portland with the 3rd pick and teaming up with Clyde a little bit earlier than we anticipated, right? Because obviously they teamed up in Houston later on in their careers. Because Jordan got drafted to the Chicago Bulls in an era where obviously it was very Magic and Bird heavy, but the Eastern Conference in the 80s was so stacked because of the Bird and McHale Celtics, the Bad Boy Pistons, and then you throw in the Irving, Malone, Cheeks, Barkley Sixers, and then you have
the Cavs.
Then you have the Cavs with Mark Price and Brad Daugherty and Craig Elo. And then you have Jordan's Bulls, who were, they weren't coached by Phil Jackson at the time, but then you draft Scottie Pippen the next year, and then you sign obviously Dennis Rodman in the 90s, and you get Horace Grant, and although you have your 3P in the early 90s or whatever. But I do think that if Jordan had gone to almost any other team, not named the Bulls, I think, if let's say he goes to Houston or Portland, then you're looking at Magic versus Jordan in sometime in the playoffs prior, and who knows what comes of Jordan in the time of his career, or how his career would have panned out had he not been a Chicago Bull. So I do, and obviously, right, like how many people idolize Jordan, right? Kobe, LeBron, all those guys. Had he not maybe gone to the right situation where he was able to thrive the way that he did, I think the course of history from that point forward, it just looks completely different.
Absolutely.
Do you have one?
Yeah. My first one is probably the Chris Paul trade that got rejected. When he was supposed to get traded to the Lakers.
Fuck
David Stern stepped in.
Piece of shit.
Is this trade thing fair to people involved? The whole renege trade thing, is that fair to the players here?
Unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast. Man. It's just the business that we're in. Owners can make trades, and in this situation, the commissioner has the right to avoid the trade. So.
Necessarily despise David Stern for stepping in on the trade. I think he was more so protecting the Hornets than he was, going against the Lakers. Because this was 2012 going into the 2013 season, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
This is after the Lakers had already won back-to-back rings. This is after the Celtics this is after the Dallas Mavericks won.
Yeah.
I forget who the trade was involving, if one of you can find that out. But
it was the Lakers. It was also the Rockets, I think, were involved. I think Powell was supposed to go to Houston.
Okay.
In that trade as well. I think it was going to be like a 3-team trade. But the Hornets were owned by the NBA at that point. So like Stern had like the administrative
Yeah,
power.
it was like a GM move for the Hornets.
Yeah.
It was 2011 going into 2012. It was the NBA lockout. It was after the Lakers had been eliminated by
the Mavericks.
Mavericks.
We got swept, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, destroyed in Game 4. You guys lost by 40.
Is that when Andrew Bynum
LA Lakers
destroyed JJ Barea.
LA Lakers agreed to part ways with Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom in exchange for 26-year-old point guard Chris Paul.
Yeah, and that's also not a good chemistry booster if a trade that's already approved and ready to go falls through.
Well, Odom left anyway. He went to Dallas.
Yeah.
Either that year or the year after, and then
Because of that.
Pau stuck around a little bit longer than
because of his relationship with Kobe.
Right, and then he ends up going to Chicago and has like 2 or 3 really good years, and he was an all-star.
What do you guys think? Do you think that Kobe gets another ring? What do you guys think happens if that trade goes through?
I think it works regardless. I mean, there's a reason people were so scared.
Do you think Chris Paul has a ring finally?
Yes.
Yeah, and
what do you think about this whole situation?
2012 though.
2012 is when the
Miami
the
Heat.
Heatles.
Yeah, when the Thunder go to the finals.
I mean,
don't know.
that Western Conference was wide open.
There was, but like it's getting to the finals was the
Kobe
easy
and Chris
part.
Paul would have been insane.
Beating the Heatles is different though, bro.
I don't know.
I mean,
man.
what we took the Thunder to 5 games that
Wasn't
year.
there? Who was it? Who was involved in that trade? I forget.
So Powell and Lamar were gone essentially.
Was Dwight Howard on that team then? Or
No.
Dwight Howard came as a result after,
Yep. And that was like a 4-team trade.
which
It
he
was like-
eventually ended up teaming up with Chris Paul anyways.
And this was still prime Dwight Howard.
Yeah,
I think it probably would have been an easier. Let's say, for example, you get Chris Paul on that team, you see out that season, and then you go into free agency. I don't remember if you're going to free agency or through a trade, but
Paul
if you
was-
bring in Dwight Howard with Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul as your facilitator, you win a championship.
No, Dwight Howard was a trade. Nash was a trade also.
Dwight Howard came in a year after that
Yeah.
with Steve Nash.
This is the full deal. The proposed trade would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers, Pau Gasol to the Rockets, Lamar Odom, Luis Scola, Kevin Martin, Goran Dragic, and the 2012 first-round pick to the Hornets.
This is also peak Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Like peak.
This is him like averaging 20 points per game and like 11 assists a game. Defensive first team, all defensive teams, all that.
Another thing too, if this happens and say Kobe gets another ring with the Lakers, I don't know. Something about it makes me think that maybe he wouldn't have retired a Laker. Maybe one of those trades would have gone through sooner for him to leave the Lakers. Maybe he would have gone to the Bulls with Pau Gasol, say, or something like that.
Maybe.
Anyway, that's my first moment.
Yeah.
Did he-
My first moment is June 26th, 2003. LeBron Ramon James is drafted into the NBA.
With the first pick in the 2003 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
Changes the way the basketball is perceived. I mean, I was actually going to pick Jordan, his draft date, and I think Michael Jordan is the first bona fide world superstar in the world of basketball. And I think that he set down the foundations for future athletes to be successful and to create their own brand and to become behemoths.
I'd argue Magic Johnson or Kareem.
Nothing
were
was
the
like
first.
Jordan though. Jordan was the guy he was on billboards. He was talked about everywhere around the world. Everyone knows who Magic Johnson was, but there was something about Jordan, that aura that he had. And the only other, the two other people that I can compare in terms of aura that were drafted, I don't want to talk too much about Kobe, but LeBron James, when he was drafted, comes out of high school, was an absolute raw talent that we had never seen before come out. Not even going to college, right? And for him, the reason why I picked this as as the biggest moments in NBA history is because he is arguably one of the best players, if not the best basketball player of all time, and that longevity, 22 years playing at the highest level, is something that we probably won't ever see again. To be that consistently great, and on top of that, playing in Cleveland, growing up in Akron, taking that dog shit to the finals and losing and carrying them against Detroit and playing, scoring 25 straight points against the Pistons that people forget were defensive fucking demons that beat the Lakers and were also just up there with Boston around that time in the East. For him to be playing with Gauskas and Mo Williams as your best teammates and going to conference semifinals, conference finals, and to the NBA finals, and not getting over the line, which would have been an incredible achievement. That day changed the NBA forever. When LeBron James was announced to the world.
I would agree with you that the drafting of LeBron is big, but it's him going to Cleveland is like the biggest thing. If Detroit had gotten the number 1 overall pick, I don't think it would have been the same. If he had gone to Denver, if he had gone to Miami, if he had gone to Toronto, I don't think it would have been the same as if he wasn't drafted to Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't think. It's the same thing with Derrick Rose. It was the same. It's like a part of me thinks that it's kind of rigged a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I'm sure, but I just picked that moment. And not even because of the team.
Story, but I think LeBron James would have made his
mark anywhere.
No matter where he went.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, that was...
Well, because it added to the story, too, him coming back to Cleveland, giving them their first...
Yeah, exactly.
And think about it, right? It's the first time... There were players that came out of college, right? I mean, what's his name that played for the Lakers in the 80s, who unfortunately had battled drug addiction in most of his career, that played for the Lakers in the year that they won the ring, the first ring with Magic. I forget his name. But LeBron was the first guy to come out of high school and really just take over and to showcase his talents. That's why I think that's a amazing moment for the league, because now we're still watching him. I was 4 years old when he was drafted, and I'm 25, and I'm still watching him hoop.
I was 2 when he got drafted.
Yeah, so that's my first moment.
You got another one, Yousuf?
I do. June 7th, 2012. Can you guys take a guess?
2012.
That must be.
Is that when AD gets drafted?
Nope.
No,
This is a finals moment, right?
This is not a draft moment.
it's not a trade.
Nope.
Is it a free agency signing?
Nope. June 7th, 2012.
Is it an injury?
Nope.
Is this when no
Is it a coaching fire?
coaching hire?
We'll say Naoki may not like this much. June 7th, 2012. Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. LeBron James, 45 points, 15 rebounds. Heat win by 19.
Right.
Legacies are at stake. Is this the end of the big three? This could be it. I'm not picking them to win Thursday night. I'm not doing it.
I don't think the Heat have a chance.
LeBron James. Is this my camera? I love watching you play.
Of course, a Game 7.
That's the picture of LeBron.
Yes.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, is this against the Celtics?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Miami Heat LeBron coming off a loss to the Dallas Mavericks in the finals the year before with the Heatles.
It would be his greatest playoff performance ever if 2018 LeBron didn't exist.
Yeah.
Or 2016 Game 7 didn't exist. And
That
Game
too.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big three's last hurrah.
Yeah. I think this is the greatest moment of his entire career because I think his entire career was on the line.
They had lost in 2011.
If he didn't win that year, I'm pretty sure the Miami Heat would have broken up. Obviously, again, Lord knows what would have happened, but I don't think they would have stuck around because that's back-to-back years where
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Did Celtics beat the Thunder?
Yeah, people constantly look at LeBron as a playoff choke artist. Celtics versus Spurs in the NBA Finals.
No, 2012 would have been the Thunder.
Thunder, yeah, Celtics versus
Yeah,
Thunder.
do we see Westbrook and co win a ring and does KD go to the Warriors if that happens?
It's a little difficult to say that just because they got 5-1 or 4-1 by the Heat.
Yeah,
Wasn't very competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and I think it
those
was
games were close though.
I think it was another that offseason,
Yeah.
the offseason after where they decided not to re-sign James Harden, and then he gets traded to the Rockets.
The one after.
It's the one after.
But do we see Westbrook and Durant win a ring together?
I don't know if it. I think that was just more so because financially.
No, for sure.
They
No,
wouldn't
for
have been
sure,
able
for
to
sure.
handle
Yeah,
that.
No, yeah.
No matter what.
But I do. Maybe it's the possibility that had the. I mean, they did get 4-1, right? Like the Thunder did against the Heat. Maybe that final series that they did play the Celtics, the aging Celtics, it goes 4-2. 4-3.
Yeah, but I don't know if that necessarily changes like their financial
That's true. This is true.
situation.
I just think LeBron's legacy more than anything was on the line there in that
100%.
in that game.
Mm-hmm.
For him to come out, do the shit that he did.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never seen that like anything like that to this day in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Anything. Honestly. I've never seen anyone take over that way. Yeah, June 7th, 2012. I think LeBron is forever grateful for that day because
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of they're two separate occasions, but I'm gonna bundle the two together, kind of. It's Magic's retirement.
Apparently tested positive for the AIDS virus. We take you then to Inglewood, California, and Magic Johnson.
Good after late afternoon. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers.
Bird's retirement due to back injuries. Neither of them, they had like a 12 or 13 year career. They got drafted like just before the 1980 season. They should have been playing well into the 90s. Bird made it like 2 years into the 90s. And Magic played up until maybe like 93 or 94. And I think there's a genuine possibility that had Bird not picked up the back injuries, had Magic kept it in his pants, that Jordan doesn't have the rings that he has. He doesn't go 6 for 6. I don't think.
I agree with you.
He doesn't go. He doesn't have that thing that that makes him separate from a lot of the greatest players that we have of all time. Right? It's like, okay, Russell has 11 rings, but Jordan went 6 for 6. LeBron has 4 rings, but Jordan went 6 for 6.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
but
like
they were older.
that I know, but that's like the thing though. Like, no, they were older, but it's like they still have. Look at what LeBron's doing at year 22, 21. You know what I mean? Jordan didn't have that long of a career either. Kobe played 20 years. Kareem played 20 years at that time. So it's like they were about to hit kind of the prime-ish of their careers at that point, or they were kind of in the tail end of it, but we never really got to see them play Jordan at his peak.
Well,
right? They got to play like a younger Jordan.
We did see one of them play them, and they lost.
Right, but then like who knows if the Celtics still had Bird in those years, would the Bulls have gone to the finals?
Yes.
We don't know.
Remember, most of that supporting cast also was getting older, and most of them left.
Wasn't this also the rise of like the Detroit Pistons?
Yeah, I mean, you guys couldn't beat Detroit.
They were like in the later 80s, yeah.
I mean, but I think the Lakers go to the finals against Jordan, and they win that game 1, and everyone thinks that that's like, oh, that, you know, this is it. Like, they're going to lose this series. And they go back and they beat them 4-1 and detrimentally destroy them in each of those games. You know, you could actually, honestly, you could look at the timeline of LeBron in the first years in Cleveland and then Jordan's first years in Chicago. I mean, Jordan has never missed the playoffs in his career, number one, which is an incredible feat. However, similar to LeBron, they both needed help, right? And they both needed to build teams around them so they could get the best out of them. Like, Jordan was a phenomenal scorer, but was given a lot of shit for not being a good playmaker and, you know, helping out his teammates get better.
I think Magic Johnson's legacy isn't affected as much if he doesn't have that. It's because I already think Magic Johnson's the greatest point guard ever.
Yeah.
But Bird's legacy, had he not suffered those back injuries, because I know they really hindered the tail end of his career.
Yeah, for sure. And he's like, and it's crazy because you think, you know, a lot of people, including
I'm
myself,
not sure what would have happened.
Yeah,
had he not.
A lot of people,
suffered.
including myself, will say that he's the greatest Celtic ever, right? Like, in terms of the player
He's
that
top
he was.
10 of all time.
But he's like not the Celtics' all-time leading scorer. Records and accolades that he should have for the historic franchise that he played for, but he just doesn't have that because he didn't play long enough. You know what I mean? And like, Bird was like he was a pretty reckless player defensively, and he hustled a lot, which is so contrasting to what we see with today's superstars.
He also just didn't have the physical prowess.
He didn't, but he was like an elite scorer. He was a phenomenal rebounder for the position that he was in. I don't know. I think maybe had they been around a little bit longer with the rise of Michael Jordan, maybe the NBA as a brand and as a league gets expanded so much further out than what it ended up being. You know what I mean? Like, because Magic and Bird, that rivalry emerged the NBA in the 80s, right? They made the NBA in the 80s, right? Like, but then 90 had the rise of Jordan. But I think a part of why we look at Jordan's rise so fondly is because he's following up Magic and Bird. Like, it's just like one big thing, and then there was another big thing, and then after Jordan, it was the Shaq and Kobe Lakers and the three-peat and the golden era of Lakers basketball. And after that was the Pistons, and then you had the Spurs, and like a different champion, even like no repeat champions. And then you have the early 2010s, you know, it was like the prime years of LeBron. Those kind of outside like marketing forces that really made the league into what it's become today. The Magic and Bird era and the Jordan era kind of intertwine a little bit more and kind of make, I don't know. I feel like it would just made it the league a lot bigger than it is.
All right. Well, I guess I think it would be unfair to have a change the NBA video without mentioning Steph Curry. I think a moment where the league saw him like come out the most and where it like really took off, Naoki mentioned it before the video, was his game winner against the Thunder.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining. The brilliant shooting.
That was 2015, correct?
2016.
No, it was 2015. That long ass 3-pointer that he hit.
2016.
I don't think that was the year they won 73-9.
That was the year they won.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
I think it was. They were like 30 wins or something, or 25 wins. The overtime one, right? Where he hits it from like half court.
I remember that year vividly. It was that year because people were talking about this is a potential Western Conference Finals matchup.
February 17th,
15, 16, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what you guys feel about Steph Curry, and if you guys think he changed the game for the good, or if he changed the game for the bad, or if you're in between.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily on the side that he changed the game for the good, but I also don't think that it changed for the bad. I think that's just the history of sport.
For sure.
You know, there's going to be someone at some point in time that changes the trajectory of the sport. It happens in every league.
Yeah.
There's someone that does something differently, someone that starts a new trend everywhere in every sport. So without Steph Curry and without that year where the Warriors broke out and did what they did, I don't know. I think we look at a very, very different NBA setting.
Oh, 100%.
Had that not happened. GMs wouldn't have built their rosters, you know, to compete against, you know, and I think that because of the turmoil that they cause and because of all the GMs that tried to build their rosters, I think that's what just jump-started it into another direction and what led to what we have now where teams are taking over 100 3-point attempts.
Sorry, guys. We're watching the Champions League Liverpool versus Lille game right now as we're recording this video. Harvey Elliott just scored an absolute screamer.
Yes.
Deflected, but
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I mean, there's also that ripple effect, right? That what if he had gotten drafted with either one of the prior two picks from New York and he hadn't gone to Minnesota, or he hadn't gone to Golden State, right? They took Johnny Flynn and Jordan Hill.
Yeah. I don't know how.
Say. I mean,
no. It was Minnesota took Rubio ahead of him, and I think had he gone to Minnesota instead of Golden State, or had the Warriors drafted Jordan Hill and Steph would have gone to New York.
We'll say the ankle injuries derail his career.
Yeah, because
that's true.
It took Steph like 4 or 5 years to marinate.
It did.
Even going into the
crazy.
Even going into the 2015 season, where they won their first ring.
Yeah, there was still like a little bit of doubt.
Which I really wanted to bring this in. I'll probably use it as an honorable mention, but those ankle injuries going into 2015, he was still battling those, and then somehow they just went away.
Yeah,
and he hasn't suffered an ankle injury
nothing
since.
super serious, right?
But I mean, he has, but nothing serious.
Nothing super
Nothing that
serious.
kept him out earlier in his career.
Yeah. Like, he would be out for like a month at a time.
Yeah,
because he was getting them like every time he'll have one.
He had braces on both ankles.
You have one more, Donnie?
I do. This moment is June 15th, 2004. Okay. It's the Lakers losing 4-1 to the Pistons. This is the end of the Shaq and Kobe era.
Yeah.
This is a series that I think if it went the other way, I think we're having a very different.
Bro, that shit was dead in the water.
I'm saying if they win
Kobe
that,
and Shaq fucking hated each other too.
All I'm saying is that if they win this, Shaquille O'Neal has 5 rings, Kobe Bryant has 6 rings. And I think that the GOAT conversation.
Does he have 5 rings, Shaq?
Yeah.
Do you think that Miami Heat ring still happens?
I don't think that.
Do you think the birth of Dwayne Wade happens?
No. I don't think that series is going to keep them together. I just think that the ring conversation between those two opens up a whole other conversation
Shaq
for who
is
the best of
all time.
Probably in terms of accolades, and I think Kobe Bryant is over LeBron. And
Ben Wallace had Shaq's
the
number.
GOAT.
People,
and
Ben Wallace locked Shaq's shit down.
Yeah, he did.
Had him in hell.
But no, I picked that because
friggin' Tayshaun Prince had Kobe in a straight jacket.
Yeah. No, but
I don't think there's any way we win that series. Detroit.
No. I think there's a lot of underlying factors that I think that the hate between Kobe and Shaq definitely boiled over to the point where I think it really affected the way they played. Not to hate it, by the way, or not give any credit to Detroit, because I think they were absolutely flawless in that entire run-in. However, I'm just saying that if they somehow galvanize themselves
that team's
and
never
win that
talked
series,
about, by the way.
No,
that Detroit team.
No. One of the most underappreciated NBA winners of all time.
Sheed, Rip, Ben Wallace,
and I actually think that
the fall off of Ben Wallace needs to be studied too.
Yeah,
that guy just went off a cliff.
Yeah,
he signed with the Bulls and just like he had like a year or two of solid basketball.
But he was like one of the most dominant physical presences in the league.
He was so fucking.
I mean, like he was a physical specimen of a human, but he had no offensive game whatsoever. None. Could not.
He didn't need it with the people that were on that Pistons roster.
100%.
Perfectly.
It's the same thing that we give Rudy Gobert crap for, but just Ben Wallace obviously has a ton more aura.
Don't you ever put Ben Wallace in the same category as Rudy
we
Gobert.
crap on Rudy Gobert because he has no offensive
Naoki,
game.
don't you ever do that again.
I'm not comparing.
Sick fuck.
I am not comparing the two.
Honestly, that should be a moment that changed the NBA history.
That
Rudy Gobert existing.
Facts.
No, but that series, I mean, I picked that series for multiple reasons. One, I think that is one of the greatest underdog stories in NBA
history. You didn't pick the Lakers Kings.
Well, the thing with that,
that's a good one.
if we could,
that one actually changed the course of NBA history.
We could segue to that, but this series to me, I mean, again, Shaquille O'Neal with 5 rings, Kobe Bryant with 6 rings. Is he given more credit? On top of that, as well, I think if you look at the best duos in NBA history, those two won without each other as well, which really separates them from other.
Kobe did win more.
Pippen, yeah, and Pippen tried to win a ring without Jordan when he goes to Portland and he gets Lakers. That's a red card, by the way.
He went to Houston immediately.
Yeah, went to Houston. That didn't work out with Charles Barkley, Hakeem, and those guys. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like an older team.
They were so old.
And then he goes
like
to
the
Portland.
Brooklyn Nets team.
It's basically NBA on TNT, but on the court together.
Oh, it's like that Houston Rockets team.
No, that's like that Clippers team when they had like Pierce and Josh Smith and Nate Robinson and Lance Stevenson.
No, the Toronto Raptors team with Hakeem on it.
Yeah,
that's just disgusting too.
Yeah.
And you know what? In that 04 series, Karl Malone was on that team, and Gary Payton.
You know what? I know. And the crazy thing as well with that is I think that Detroit, with the rings that they've won, I think a lot of people look at the Bad Boys and they think that was bad for basketball. It was a different era, and they just were doing what the game allowed them to do. This team, I think, should be in the same conversation as the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. If you look at the road that the Pistons had to get to the finals that year, was fucking difficult. And like Naoki, we had this conversation behind closed doors. It's the only team in NBA history.
The Pistons did it with like a different level of dominance. Though.
They are the only team in NBA history to win a ring without a bona fide superstar. Chauncey Billups is not a fucking superstar. He was a really good player, but there was not like that guy on that team. They were all just those guys that just played well together, defended well together, and died for each other.
No, for sure.
So I think this finals is underappreciated. I think it was good for basketball that a super team lost. However, if it went the other way, it also opens up a whole nother conversation of where's Kobe on that Mount Rushmore, where's Shaq on that Mount Rushmore.
I agree.
What do you guys think of the Kings series?
Yeah.
Do you guys think that was rigged?
Yes.
I do.
In our favor?
Yes.
I think 2001 or 2. I think that's
It's crazy to think that Vlade Divac would have a ring with Peja Stojakovic and those guys because whoever won that finals was going to beat New Jersey.
What's his name? Chris
Webber.
Chris Webber?
Yeah.
Dog.
Doug Christie,
Absolute dog.
Bobby Jackson, Mike
His
Bibby.
career, Chris Webber's career takes a whole different route.
Chris Webber.
His career is really sad.
Hot take.
It is.
Chris
Think about it.
traded the day he was drafted. Traded to Golden State.
Yep.
And then he leaves the year after he gets traded. But without Chris Webber, you don't get Kevin Garnett. He really set down the blueprint for like a four like that who was dominant in all aspects of the game. It's just again, anyone that was coming up against that team.
Well,
Honestly, that Lakers team.
I'm pretty sure Tim Duncan did that, but
Well, this is before Duncan was drafted too. I'm saying I'm not saying Duncan is in his whole his
Duncan
top
set
five
the precedent for
great.
5-tool 4.
I'm just saying, but like that, he was like the first modern day stretch four, if you want to put it like that. Who was just a Swiss Army knife and did everything. I'm saying his game's more compared, I would say, in my opinion, to Kevin Garnett than Duncan. Duncan was flawless at everything.
He
Whereas
was, but
Garnett and Webber had some aspects to their game that were seen as weaknesses. In Garnett's case, I think his temper, honestly, at times was a little much.
Were you gonna say something about Tim Duncan?
I know. I would say that I don't know how. I agree with the
talk Tim Duncan.
No, I agree with the versatility. I'm talking about KG and Chris Webber.
Oh, okay.
No, Duncan's in a whole other realm. Of
He's the best power forward ever.
I will acknowledge
top
that.
5 of all time.
I just think KG was a better defender than Chris Webber. I would say Chris Webber was a better playmaker than KG. I don't necessarily agree that Chris Webber was necessarily like a generationally.
No, but he set down the blueprint in a way that I don't think is actually appreciated. Chris Webber was a dog.
Chris Webber's not like up there in the conversation
because he never played for like a big market team either.
He's definitely one of the more underappreciated talents as the NBA.
No, for sure, and a lot of his legacy is tainted because of the Fab Five and what happened at Michigan, and all that. That's the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
like, that's like the big thing.
He should be.
I know,
and we'll give you your flowers, Chris, if you ever watch this.
No,
I love
100%.
Chris Webber.
You think the Kings go on and win the finals?
Whoever wins that conference finals gets a ring.
Yeah.
That Nets team, that East the year was disgraceful.
That Nets team was okay though. They had a young Kenyon Martin, Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson. And
that team went to the finals and lost handedly 4-0. They were going to get swept by Sac or they were going to get swept by the Lakers. It was literally like that. And the reason why that game, I like you bring that up. I do believe it's rigged. I think even when we had this conversation, maybe
the refs came out and admittedly said like, or they got found out in an investigation.
Yeah,
that it was actually rigged.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's crazy to think like Sac whatever ring. And by the way, that Sacramento team, they were no pushovers.
They were tough.
Those motherfuckers balled, dog.
It was a good team.
It was a great team.
It was a good team. Yeah.
Really good team.
You got last one, Yousuf?
I got one.
Okay.
Draft night 2018.
Who was drafted in 20? Oh, Luka.
Luka and Trae Young.
The trade.
Trade swaps.
Mm-hmm.
Now
they haven't really done anything in their careers though.
Well,
one's made a finals.
One's made a finals and in the Western Conference Finals. The other one made an Eastern Conference Finals.
They haven't won anything though. I think
they have.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, but
however, like
it's a balanced trade where it works out for both. It works out for both.
Swap their spots.
It's nothing to like change the trajectory of NBA history.
You never know.
Yet.
Never know.
We got to see that one through a little bit.
Who knows what it brings?
I think more so for Dallas than anything because if let's say hypothetically they have Trae Young right now.
Well, both teams were in similar situations.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, they were both
but we would
top
never,
5 picks.
Yeah. We wouldn't be talking about Dallas the way we are right now.
We wouldn't be talking about
Atlanta. Atlanta's been mediocre for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
30 years.
I think a big part of why it worked out so well is because Dallas has that European heritage.
Well, no, I mean Atlanta was a fucking
Eastern
Conference powerhouse.
2021.
Had it not been for LeBron James.
Yeah, true. In the mid 2010s,
Al Horford, Jeff Teague,
Kyle Korver, Paul Millsap, when the whole starting 5 won Player of the Month of January.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I do think that a big part of why it worked out so well for the Mavericks is because there's the European heritage with Dirk, obviously that just makes Luka so much more marketable for the Dallas market. If he had gone to Atlanta, I don't know how that pans out for him.
You know what's an interesting conversation actually?
He's still a 30-point per game average. If maybe not on the scale of winning that he is with Dallas.
If you want to bring up a draft that actually really would change NBA history, is what if the Lakers don't grab Lonzo Ball and Jason Tatum comes to LA?
Yeah, that's
or he goes to Philadelphia. What if we see Tatum play with fucking Joel Embiid? You know, what if that's actually one that is quite interesting to think about, because what happens to Boston?
Well,
you guys put all your eggs into
LeVar Ball would have leaked Adam Silver's sex tape had that happened.
Here's an interesting proposition, right? Around this time, Boston, they were super interested in Anthony Davis, right?
We wanted to sign him as a free agent.
Hypothetically, let's say, for example, they get, I don't know who else was in that class besides Markelle Fultz. I'm trying to remember.
Donovan Mitchell was in that class.
Yeah, so let's say they get whoever else. Maybe you see Anthony
Davis. We don't
Davis.
get a LeBron James if we get Jason Tatum.
That's not true.
We don't.
That's probably fair, actually. However, you probably see Anthony Davis go to Boston.
No.
You also got to think about it like this.
You guys were really interested in that guy.
You got to think about this. Lonzo is what got us to AD. That whole Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle.
Maybe we see Jason. Maybe we see Jason Tatum playing in New Orleans then. Honestly, maybe LeBron wanted. Maybe LeBron was dead set on going to LA.
You just mentioned New Orleans right now, and it just hit me like a fucking truck.
No, that Rajon Rondo, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins team.
That shit, yes. If Cousins doesn't tear his Achilles, bro.
That's a good one.
DeMarcus was different, bro.
That was the best front court, and I dare say it, the best front court and the most gifted front court in NBA history.
It was so good.
I don't want to hear.
It was so unfair for
DeMarcus Cousins was so different.
For like 3 months, it was so good.
Him and AD.
It was the best thing ever.
I
thought that the Warriors were finally going to get the
freaking DeMarcus Cousins throwing lobs to AD from the top of the key.
Who was guarding that?
No one.
They win a ring.
No, but the thing about
they beat the Cavs. If they're fully healthy, they beat the Cavs. They beat the Warriors.
Yeah.
Like who the fuck guards those two?
Another honorable mention is.
By the way, Rondo facilitating that. By the way, are you fucking kidding me?
I think another very honorable mention in this is Kyrie and Kevin Love both going down in that 2015 series against the Warriors.
Yeah, could very well see
they were up 2-1 when that happened.
Well,
what do you think?
Kevin Love
was out earlier. Sorry,
Kelly was out from the first round.
Okay, Kyrie though.
Because Kelly Olynyk,
piece
of shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The shoulder thing.
Actually, though,
fucking arm out.
I think in my opinion, I think the biggest game changer, if you want to call it, in NBA history was the NBA ABA merger in the late 70s.
All right, bro.
What year was Cousins traded?
2017.
17? It's 2016, 2017? No, wait.
It was 16, 17.
16, 17.
Yeah, so the year after, they finished 48 and 34.
Yeah.
6th in the NBA. That team had, by the way, this team on paper, fire.
Well,
Tony Allen.
Cousins got traded in the middle of the season. He got traded like at the All-Star break.
Yeah. They had, what? This team is.
No, I know. Their team is really good.
They have Tony Allen, Omar Asik.
This is Tony Allen at the end of his career.
Ian Clark, Charles Cook, DeMarcus Cousins, Jordan Crawford, Dante Cunningham, Anthony Davis, Czech Diallo, Larry Drew II, Solomon Hill, Drew Holiday, Mike James, Jalen Jones, Walt Lemon Jr., DeAndre Liggins, Darius Miller, Nikola Mirotic.
Oh, wow.
Etuan Moore, Jameer Nelson, Emeka Okafor, Rajon Rondo, and Josh Smith. That team was pretty
loaded team.
That team was cold. And they were coached by Alvin Gentry.
Imagine Mirotic never took that overseas deal.
Yeah, I know.
He was.
I don't know.
Fuck, bro. I don't blame him for
Czech Diallo was not good. Omar Asik was falling off at that point.
Drew Holiday though.
Drew Holiday. Josh Smith was falling off. Tony Allen was older.
Solomon Hill was still a good role player.
He was.
Holiday was
still
Drew
Anthony
Holiday.
Davis and DeMarcus Cousins.
Jameer Nelson was in the tail end of his career also.
I mean, look, they had solid role players who were a little older, but still, like that team was cool.
You have the two superstars that you need.
And you have
Drew Holiday was an all-star.
Remember, that's that team that locked down Damon CJ in that subsequent playoff run. So
hey, bro, I don't know.
No, but the thing about that 2017 draft is the Sixers loved Markelle Fultz. They loved Markelle Fultz. Celtics had the number 1 pick. The Sixers wanted Markelle Fultz so bad that they traded for the number 1 pick, gave them another pick the following season, which ended up being Romeo Langford. The Lakers, of course, right? Magic was super. He loved Lonzo, and the Celtics. We liked Jason Tatum, and we would have drafted him number 1, but we saw how the Sixers, how desperate they were to get Markelle Fultz, and we're like, yeah, we'll give you number 1. Just give us a pick.
Which a lot of people.
By the way,
go watch Markelle Fultz.
Real quick,
college
I just
film.
want to say in that 2018 playoff run, New Orleans beat Portland 4-0.
I just mentioned that.
I know. And then when was the injury to Cousins?
In the next season.
Okay, and then they lost 4-1 in Golden State. But I remember that series was close. A lot of those games were really close.
Oh no, wait. The 18 playoff? No, I think he would have been hurt in that before that
He was
series.
hurt before that.
He was hurt before that.
Yeah.
Because that offseason, he goes to Golden State.
You're right. He tore his ACL.
I'm a warrior.
Was it that
Achilles.
offseason or was it late in the season?
It was late in the season. It was late in the season he tore his Achilles.
No,
It
I'm
was
saying late in the season when he joined.
No,
No. He left in the summer
He
for
left in the
$5
summer
million
for free agency.
He took that 1 year, $5 million deal.
But he had a quad injury. That's what he had.
Because I think around this time, this is when Anthony Davis was like, if Cousins is leaving, I'm going to get traded because I don't want to be here, which is completely valid.
And then the following offseason, 2019, AD gets traded to the Lakers.
So. Yeah. What a team, bro.
What, if Eric Bledsoe never tweets, I don't want to be here?
Oh, in Phoenix?
What happens in NBA history?
Honestly,
12 more wins.
He doesn't get traded.
Not even 3 more wins.
He doesn't get traded to Milwaukee, and then the Milwaukee Bucks, they don't get Drew Holiday, and then they don't win 21.
We actually have to rank this now, 1 through 10.
I already forgot the ones that we've said.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. We're not going to rank them. You're going to rank them.
Well,
Let
we'll
us
say-
know in the comments below what you think from 1 through 10 is because we don't remember shit.
We could decide on the most pivotal one.
We can decide what do you guys think is the most important one?
I think out of all the ones that we discussed, obviously, the most pivotal one is the one that's still taking effect to this day.
LeBron getting drafted.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. I think that one is.
Well, he's the greatest player of all time. So
yeah, so it's hard to argue against that.
Yeah.
Another one I feel like that led to a rule change. I forgot to mention this honorable mention. Western Conference Finals in 2004.
The back to the basket rule.
The Derek Fisher 0.4 seconds left shot against
San Antonio.
Game 5 against San Antonio.
One of the best moments in NBA history I haven't even mentioned is Reggie Miller scoring 9 points in like 8 seconds.
Yeah.
That's one of the best moments ever.
Or Sun Spurs when
T-Mac doing the same
when
thing.
Robert Ory
T-Mac is 13 and 35.
That's crazy.
When Robert
That's crazy.
When Robert Ory decks Steve Nash, bench is clear, and then they don't have Shawn Marion, Amari Stoudemire, Boris Diaw for the subsequent game, and then the Spurs win the championship. So
anyway, we'll let you guys decide, kind of,
sort of.
What?
Notice how we haven't said anything in the 2020s because the NBA has been absolutely
Because of how shit it's been, yeah.
Which, by the way, you can watch a video, 3-part series on Street Logic Sports on YouTube channel.
I'll name something very pivotal for you. Bradley Beal existing. Holy shit, is he ass. Yeah. Bradley Beal.
Bradley, if you're watching this, shout out you, dog.
Start selling crack, my boy. Holy fucking shit. Remember that talk that he had where he's like, I can retire, go on the beach, and never have to work another day? He was talking to his AAU team.
What are you waiting for?
You should really consider doing that. Anyway, close the shit out.
6-man like Crypto
Bradley
P.
Beal, you are a Los Angeles Laker.
Thanks for watching Open Court. I'm your host, Danilo Stanojevic. I'm joined with Isaiah Broun, Naoki Gima, and Yousuf Shaaban.
Shaaban. Bye. Goodbye.